All right. As Steve was saying, hello, everyone. This is Jamie Kelley with Otherworldly Fundraising, and we are really excited to be partnered this year with Options Save Lives. And we thought no better way to kick off the second day than to talk with the folks at Options Save Lives. And Jenny, thank you so much for joining, and thank you so much for we're going to have a lot of fun this weekend and raising a lot of money to help you all out. So,
well, thank you. I'm honored that we are your chosen charity this year, and that you even had a slot for me on your schedule. So, thank you.
Oh, our pleasure. So, well, because it's especially with something like Options Save Lives, awareness is just as important as money. Well, I mean, money is super important, so that way things can get done. But awareness is incredibly important so that people know the existence of this. And until we started looking into it, I actually hadn't heard of Options Save Lives. I went to the website, I watched the video. She was talking about like her own like journey and everything. So how did Options Save Lives get started?
Well, our founder, Claudia Christian, who is pretty big in the sci-fi world, and she does a lot of video game voiceovers. She had her own struggle with alcohol, and back when it was still called alcoholism.
Yep.
Now it's alcohol use disorder. And yeah, she ran through all of the standard attempts to try and get better. And she tried AA, she tried hypnotherapy, she tried just not drinking and just dropping. Yeah. And she just nothing worked, nothing stuck. And then after going into a detox facility, she found a flyer for a medication on her way out. Mm-hmm. Tried to contact them to get it and didn't get a response back. So she started doing some research on the medication itself. Mm-hmm. And it led her to a book by Roy Escapa called The Cure for Alcoholism. So naturally she was super skeptical, but then opened the book. And it was about the science of the Sinclair method. And it really made sense to her. At the time, no one was prescribing the medication in the US, basically, even though by then it was already generic. It's non-addictive. You've got drugs like methadone and Suboxone that are opioid agonists that kind of help mimic for on the drug side for reduction. Now, Trexone is the opposite. So it actually just blocks all kind of those. You don't get a high. It's impossible to get addicted to this medication.
Interesting.
So she had to go some roundabout means that we won't discuss. I'm sure everybody can figure it out, and manage to find a way to get the medication. Mm-hmm. And the Sinclair method is different from other medication-assisted treatments in the sense that it works on extinction theory. So think Pavlov's dog in reverse. Mm-hmm. So you take the medication, you wait an hour, 1 to 2 hours, so that your body metabolizes it.
Yep.
And then it blocks your receptors so that when you drink alcohol, the endorphin reward from alcohol doesn't get to bind to those receptors. So your nervous system starts to learn that alcohol no longer equals a reward.
Right.
That confuses people because they're like, but I can, does this mean I'm not going to get drunk? Does it? And it's like, no, you still have to, you have to do what other treatments call the work to partner with it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop you from getting drunk. It's not going to stop you from getting hungover if you drink too much. It's not going to do any of those things except that nervous system level training one lesson at a time to say, no, you know what? You're not getting that reward. So this is something that you don't want to chase. And that's all on a craving level.
Yeah.
So over time, what happens is you've got someone who just has that drive that alcohol is life. Like addiction tells your body that the substance that you're using and that you're addicted to is necessary to live.
Right. Yeah.
And so over time, as you stop craving it, your body is also saying, okay, we don't need this anymore. And that's where a lot of the other stuff that we do really comes in and helps, because if you're drinking, 10, 12 hours a day, what do you do with that time?
Right.
If you suddenly lose your craving for alcohol, but you're bored and you don't know what to do with your time, it's not going to change your habits. It's not going to change your behaviors.
Yeah.
I like to tell people that, traditional treatments without medication only treat half the problem. That's all the behavioral.
Yep.
And a lot of times it fails because it's at your body is what is addicted. It's not just your mind.
Yeah. It's still telling you, your body's still telling you that connection exists.
Right.
So until that's why I was so fascinated by the video. It's like, that makes complete and total sense, because of course, like you said, Pavlov's dog in reverse is perfect wording. I love that, because the idea that you just reverse that process, because everybody gets used to, when you do something, there's a reward. Same as when you do something, something not good happens, then you learn, oh, I shouldn't do that. Don't touch the hot stove, that kind of thing. And so if your body stops getting that response, then that learned behavior and your mind severs the correlation between the two, or your body severs the correlation between the two. So that's wonderful.
Yeah. And then what's a little difficult for some people to swallow is that if you just take the medication and don't work on the habits and behavior change, it's still going to probably fail you, because even if your cravings are gone, you can still drink. Because think about all the people who are never addicted to alcohol that still overdrink.
Yeah.
And Pavlov's dog didn't stop eating.
True. Yeah.
So it was strictly about the anticipation caused by the craving. And so by putting together support and help with moderation techniques and medication, having that whole package really increases that level of success. We've got some doctors that have been doing this for years who will, I've got one that he's outside of Chicago, but he does telemedicine nationwide. And he says, listen, if somebody's got support and they take the medication properly, 90% success rate.
Wow. That's fantastic.
But it is about taking it properly and, having that support, because the support piece is huge.
Yeah. And it was really interesting, hearing about, because I had not heard and Kristen, we'll get to the question you have here in a minute. But the part that I had not even considered, just how many people die each year as a result of alcohol use disorder. And like,
it's staggering.
Every second.
It's about 1 every 10 seconds, I believe is what it is. And that's, I don't know. That was That was one of the latest ones that, like, they only release these numbers about every 10 years or so from the World Health Organization.
Okay.
So it might be a little different now. I'm thrilled that I've seen, just in the last couple months, though, I've seen some news articles that say that drinking across the US and Canada, at least, is starting to go down. And I think part of that's honestly because so many non-alcoholic brewers now have drinks out there that are viable alternatives. And we love that.
Yeah.
We absolutely love that, because when when you're still in the throes of the addiction and you haven't lost that craving, you haven't figured out how to change those behaviors yet.
Yeah.
I think Gen Z calls it zebra striping. You alternate a real beer for a non-alcoholic beer.
Interesting.
And if you do that, you're literally cutting down how much you drink.
Yeah.
In half before you've even addressed the behavior. So first, let's get that clarity back in your mind so that you have the mental capacity to make the changes. Because let's face it, you got cravings 24/7. Yeah, that's all you're thinking about. So you don't have that capacity to even think about making other behavior changes yet.
Right. Exactly.
So
it's all part of the process.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really, really cool. Okay, Kristen, we'll get to your question, then we'll get back to some of the other stuff. How did you get involved with Claudia?
So so we started out as C3 Foundation. We just finished a huge rebranding process to become Options Save Lives. And that just happened within the last 6 months. We finalized that.
Okay.
So before Claudia started C3 Foundation, she was at a sci-fi convention might have been out in Phoenix. I had just graduated with a journalism degree, picked up her book, Babylon Confidential, read it on the plane, and was so moved by her story that I wrote her a little review for Amazon, and then shot her the link through her Facebook page. And I was like, I'm sure you've got plenty of people on your team and all that, but hey, if you ever need somebody else, this is what I do. At the time I was doing some freelance social media work. And so like a month later, she sends me this message out of the blue, and she's like, if you were in LA, I would hire you because I'm starting a nonprofit. And I'm like, Claudia, we have the internet. I can work wherever I have Wi-Fi. What do you need? And so she was telling me about the nonprofit. And at the time she was raising money to make One Little Pill, the documentary film about the Sinclair method.
Yep.
And so she was just struggling to figure out what fundraising source, what this or that. And I had a limited background in some fundraising. So I'm like, yeah, let me throw together some ideas. And then, so she hired me and I started my master's degree. So I was in college full time, way over my head.
Yep.
And I proposed an Indiegogo. And I had no idea what I was getting into at that point. I'm like, okay, well, this is all like really, straightforward. No, not a big deal. We thought it out really well. And that was also the year that Giving Tuesday started. Or it was the second year. It was their second year, and they partnered with Indiegogo to help promote nonprofits who were running Indiegogo campaigns. Well, Claudia dug into her trove of headshots and memorabilia and things like that, and we put them up as perks on Indiegogo. Next thing I know, we're featured on Indiegogo's front page on Giving Tuesday, bringing in $10,000 in the day, having messages go like crazy, and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do my finals. I had a project due the next day, and I'm like, and I'm like going insane on this stuff. And at the end of the day, one of the comments came through, and it's what grabbed me. And it was from a woman who wrote in and said it was the first time in her life that she had ever heard that addiction is not a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And she talked about how she had cut her brother out of her life 10 years prior because she truly and honestly thought that he just chose alcohol over his kids, over his wife, over his job, and that until he could make better choices, she didn't want him in her life. And she expressed her regret and her gratitude that we were doing this. And she said that she sent the information. We had like a 6-page website at the time, so she sent all our information to her brother with an apology.
Wow.
And said, I think this could help you. I'm sorry for not understanding what you were going through. I would like you back in my life if you'll have me, because I want to support you. And that hit my heart. I was like, okay, this is a full-blown social health movement at the very, very beginning of it.
Yeah.
And I sent the comment out to Claudia and with just a little note, and I'm like, why do I have the idea that by the time all this is done, I'm just going to be doing nothing but working for you? And her response at, I think it was 2 a.m. at this point, God, I hope so.
That's awesome.
And that was back in, December of 2013. And we've,
wow,
charging along ever since.
But yeah,
it was the
good.
comment. It was the comment. That was what got me. And I said, this matters.
Yep, exactly. Well, and it's funny, that's I'm glad that you brought that up specifically, because that's one of the things that I thought it would be really important to touch on. And one of the questions that one of the things that Claudia said in the video was, kind of like you had said, for so long, people have looked at this as a choice. People have looked at this as like, well, punishment will get people. And look, there are some people for whom that flies, but I think it's hard for people to understand this unless you're in a situation. But like, whether it's somebody that you know or somebody that you don't know, especially in Western civilization, like when you get yelled at, your back goes up. That's an instant. Speaking of Pavlov's dog responses, people don't listen at that point. They're like, this is my life. You can go screw off or whatever. But not only that, I think it stems from, because for a long time, churches and things would be the whole fire and brimstone. It was a long road before that wasn't as much done. And it was kind of the same sort of thing. People don't respond in the way that we expect, because we think like, okay, carrot and stick and that kind of thing. And there are places where that works, but especially where, chemical connections are involved, chemical connections, mental connections and things, and they reinforce, and especially in a cycle where they're reinforcing each other, it's very difficult for people to kind of grasp that, because we also have this idea, this sense of like willpower, this like if we just will ourselves to do it, I can stick a flag in the ground and just hike up to the top of the mountain, right? And again, there's a place for that. It's not here. It's not with alcohol use disorder or these types of these addiction cycles. It's really difficult for people to kind of grasp that that's not the case, because then the few times when it does happen that way, that gets put up that gets put up on the wall with the gold star and said, oh, hey, look, this person did it. That must work for everybody. And that's, if we've learned anything as a society, which I don't think we learned well, but if we learn anything as a society, it's that everybody works differently, but certain responses and certain things that we've kind of taught ourselves as a society that work simply don't in the way. And that's why I when I was watching the video, now drinking is a spectator sport for me. Alcohol screws with my stomach. That's why this is Pepsi. I'm a Pepsi fiend, but other than that, but when I saw the video, it was like, wow, that's brilliant. That's so incredible. Yeah.
And so touching on two things there, it's like, yes, there are certain things that to a point you have control over.
Yeah.
If I ask you to hold your breath, you need breath to live.
Yeah.
You can hold your breath under certain conditions for up to a certain point.
Yeah.
At which point you either pass out or, so that your body then starts breathing and overrides what your choice is.
Yeah.
And when your body has convinced you that alcohol is necessary to live, and sometimes that's because if you try to stop, those withdrawals are like, they literally can be deadly.
Yeah.
Like, they literally can kill you if you're drinking at a certain level and you just stop. So it's not even that your brain has convinced you of this. In some cases, it's absolutely true. You absolutely at this particular point need alcohol to survive.
Yep.
So it's not even an irrational thought for a lot of people. So you can, again, they can stop for under certain conditions for certain amounts of time. But at that point, because of the addiction, it's not something that they can just indefinitely, it'd be like asking them to indefinitely hold their breath.
Yeah.
And then you talk about willpower, and I had an old blog article that I wrote about this years ago. I used to live in Florida, so hurricanes.
Yep.
Let me tell you about the difference between willpower, which is basically strength, and resilience.
Yeah.
The strongest oak might get toppled or cracked over, no matter how strong it is. Under certain conditions, it will break. It can only take so much. Yep. I've seen trees just snap in hurricanes.
Yep.
The grass is getting, it's taking all of that. It's getting drowned out. It's getting absolutely battered. Yep. But grass is a lot more resilient.
Yeah.
And it might take time, but it pops back up. And so when we can help people focus more on that resiliency, instead of trying to just full on strength,
right?
Always being strong is exhausting.
Yeah,
we're not built to do it. Like human beings aren't made for that.
Yeah,
we have to be soft. We have to rest every single day.
Yeah.
in order to function well. So you can't be expected to have willpower and strength 100% of the time. It's an unrealistic expectation.
Yeah.
Things are going to happen. Things are going to throw you. It's how you bounce back from that. It's how you learn to not have that beat and break you until you're back at the automatic. Because when you're addicted, if you go back into default mode and you're automatic, that's where the alcohol is.
Exactly.
Because that's what it's been for so long.
Yep.
So you have to build, it's easier to build new mechanisms to keep from hitting default mode.
Yeah.
Than it is to learn how to live in default mode indefinitely.
That's excellent. When you were talking about the tree and the grass, I think we societally perceive strength as rigidity, but rigidity is fragile. Is like, it can, like you said, it can only take so much. There is a breaking point where it doesn't fly anymore. But but the grass. It's early for me. I'm used to waking up 3 in the afternoon. It's fine. The grass is, it's more resilient. It's more flexible. There's a more of an, being able to bend and being able to kind of, that, and being able to see things and learn to see things from a different perspective, and having what you need for your body to break to not go through the cycle that the tree's going through, that gets uprooted and taken 5 counties down. Like we have, I'm in Iowa, we have tornadoes. So it's, same thing, just minus the water.
I'm currently KC Metro, so I get it. Yeah, it's the tornadoes and the hail, the hail, the wind and the hail is just, it's crazy.
We actually had to redo our electricity. The mast went like that.
Ooh,
it still worked, but we're like, do we really? We just, so they ended up getting like this is one case where the rigidity actually was okay, because we made it lower to the ground and thicker. So okay, so Trevor, what things have you done to try and get more visibility in the established medical system, like the AMA?
So we haven't really done AMA. However, for a few years, mostly prior to the pandemic, we had a few years where we had enough funding to go to addiction conferences. The American Society of Addiction Medicine in particular, ASAM. Okay, like honestly, this was our low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Because what our biggest obstacle to begin with was, we just had, naltrexone's non-addictive. So we thought, we'll get the word out. People will understand that, hey, there's something that can help them. They'll go to their doctor and their doctor will be happy to help. Yeah. And so we were getting emails saying, my doctor won't prescribe this. My doctor said, you have 2 choices. You either stop drinking or drink yourself to death. There's no alternative. And so what we realized, thankfully, we realized it very fast. So
right.
we had to pivot very quickly. We were giving people this hope and telling them about this amazing treatment, and their doctors were like, absolutely not.
Right.
Yep. And so we're like, okay, we gotta we gotta kind of shift gears and get some providers on. And so those first early years, there wasn't telemedicine like there is now.
Right.
In fact, for probably the first 3 or 4 years, we didn't know of anyone offering telemedicine services at all. We had one of my favorite providers. He's still out in the Las Vegas area. He was that awesome skepticism kind of guy. Like the true skeptic, the one who wants to know the truth. He wants to poke the holes until he makes sure that what you're saying is legitimate.
Right.
And so he started out, he's in Vegas, and that made it so that like he had people flying in for weekend trips to Vegas so that they could go see him to get treated for their alcohol use disorder.
Wow.
Because, hey, even on that side, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Yeah.
So people would be like, oh, I have a business. Like he had a guy who was flying in from Ohio, I think it was like every 3 months.
Right.
And I'm heading to Vegas. What he was doing is he was working on his recovery.
Wow.
So he helped a lot with a lot of our messaging. He's like, cool. This is kind of what you need to do if you want doctors to take this seriously.
Yeah.
This, not that, go this route, yes, the emotions of it are good, but if you don't have everything, every I dotted and T crossed, you're going to lose people. So when we finally had a little funding to start going to addiction conferences, the first one we went to more of like I won't say the organization's name because it was that bad of a reaction. But it was mostly like therapists and counselor level in the addiction community.
Yeah.
And we had people who flat out said, well, if this actually worked, it would put us out of a job. So why would we want to support that? And it's like, well, first of all, you're dealing with both addiction and mental health issues here. So why would you want to deny somebody something that can help them so that they can work on that other piece with a clearer mind?
Yep.
Like what you would be doing would be establishing more trust with your patients because they know that you actually care. And so we had people who just flat out looked at us like we had 3 heads.
Wow.
And where Claudia comes at this from her personal experience with alcohol addiction, I come at it from being the one in my family who dodged the bullet. I had the really bad drinking relationship with alcohol.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't get the repetitions in to actually become addicted.
Oh, okay.
And we went out to this first conference, and like at the end of every day, I'm like, yeah, I want to drink. I can't imagine what your patients feel like because no wonder they're not. I'm like, you want, like, I'm not even addicted. And all I want to do at the end of the day after spending time with you is drink. And you're the ones who are supposed to be helping people stop drinking.
Yeah.
I'm like, I couldn't ever in good conscience send people in your direction.
Right.
So then we found ASAM, and because the American Society of Addiction Medicine already recognizes that addiction medicine exists and has a valid place in recovery.
Right.
And they go to their conferences to figure out how to better use the medication that's out there, both on and off label.
Yep.
These are people who are like, okay, I want to know about this. So, we got a donation, and we put like all the medical, like the protocol for the prescribing protocol and a letter from doctors and different scientific journal things. We put them on little USBs and handed them out at exhibit tables.
Cool.
And so I would go out to these, and, normally you go to medical conferences and they have basically paid marketers that stand at the booths, and they know what they know, and that's it. And so I would go, and sometimes Claudia'd go with me. And it's like, no, you have the entire organization here at your disposal. Ask us anything.
Yep.
And so I'd stand there and I'd have like 5 or 6 doctors. The first, that first conference we did with ASAM, I think we added like 25 or 30 doctors nationwide to our list of providers who are like, yeah, some, most of them already prescribed naltrexone. They just didn't do it this way. And they're like, okay, well, that actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
And then in 2017, that's when telemedicine kind of started. And that was just amazing, because then we, like, all 50 states, there's at least one, sometimes, up to a dozen almost telemedicine providers that you can choose from. Some of them even take insurance these days.
That's really cool. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny, talking about, nobody, like, well, the first place is, nobody wants to jump on, and then one person jumps on, and then it goes, it just like, and almost everything, nobody wants to be the first because they don't want to be out in the middle and feel like the idiot. Right. And then, but then the more people that jump on, then the more other people jump on.
I usually, when I am talking to doctors at a conference, I'll say, listen, alcohol's dose dependent for risk factor, just same as weight.
Yeah.
I'm like, but if you have a patient who has to lose 100 pounds, do you expect them to lose it all overnight? And they're like, of course not. I'm like, if they lose 15 pounds, have they reduced certain risks? At least a little. Yeah. I'm like, if they lose 30 pounds and gain 10 back because it's the holidays, do you tell them that they have to start all over and lose 100 pounds again?
Right.
That they've lost all the progress that they've made so far? And they're like, no, I would not. And I'm like, so why do we do that with people addicted to alcohol? Oh, you were sober for 6 years and you had one drink.
Yeah.
And yeah. Oh, so you lost 6 years. The 6 years of sobriety doesn't count anymore?
Right.
Like, it's total BS.
Yep.
And when you treat people that way, that's what causes a lot of the relapse, is being so spectacularly crazy, is because if you've just lost it all, you hit an F it moment, and you're like, well, I've already blown it, so I might as well go all the way.
Exactly.
And
may as well make it a real trip if we're gonna go, if we're gonna do this anyway.
Yeah.
And that social component exists for so many things, like digging out from debt, going, like, depression, like so many things are like that, because we have this all or nothing mentality with it. And people go in and they're trying, one thing happens, and then everybody tells them, oh, well, you're back to, it's like the how many days without an accident, and and like in Minions, right? And it goes back to zero, and people are like, well, what's it matter? So it's important for, as a social component broadly, but also as an individual component, because the two are connected, letting people know that it's not, that risk does exist, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah. So, eventually, hopefully, we'll have some better funding in future years. We'll be able to get back to some addiction conferences, because I love going out and talking to doctors about it. In the meantime, we've got resources that people can print and take to their own doctor. And I've lost track of how many people that I've told. I'm like, hey, give your doctor my email. Like if they want more information, give them my email. I'll set up a call with them. I'm happy to talk to them.
Yep.
So a lot of it, the ideal honestly would be, you've got a doctor that you already trust, that you already work with, and you should be able to talk to your doctor.
Right.
And just that, I mean, let's face it, half the medical conditions out there are a little bit embarrassing anyway. So, why,
right.
If you can't talk to your doctor about it, it's, but there's so much stigma. But in a perfect world, you should be able to just simply say, yeah, hey doc, I'm not comfortable with how much I drink and I'd like to cut back. And I'd like to try this. And we're seeing people who are having some success with that. And it's great because then, you're getting your doctor's appointment covered under your insurance if you have it. Same thing with your medication. They just send it to the pharmacy and you're all good and it's covered with whatever your copay is. And then your doctor also, has that full complete history of everything that's going on with you. And so for risk factors and all of that, that's the ideal. I think we're still quite a ways away from that, unfortunately. But for now, we've got what we've got.
Every step is a step in the right direction.
Absolutely.
So, or every step in the right direction is getting toward the goal. So, what is I think you had said this earlier, like, what is the general success rate that you've seen?
So in Dr. Sinclair's initial research, which it was it was a small sample size. You're not looking at thousands of people. I don't even think you're looking at more than I think it was less than 200 people, but it was 78%. I mean, mostly he was a rat scientist.
Okay.
So he studied rats that were specially bred for an affinity to alcohol.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. Ironically, they were called AA rats because they were over in Finland. Alcohol affinity rats.
Okay. That's all right.
Yeah, it's
so the rats didn't have names. They were not. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
My nerd brain is thinking of stupid jokes, and I should not be making jokes, but I am. But interesting.
But I regularly check in with various doctors that I talk to back and forth, especially I've got one that he's not quite nationwide, but he was one of our first telemedicine doctors, and he's out of Washington State, the Seattle area. And so he's treated, he has personally treated more than 5,000, and that was as of a couple years ago. Wow. And he said he's easily seeing the 75 to 80%, again, as long as people take the medication properly.
That's incredible.
And the reason taking the medication properly is so critical to success is, again, this is a learning process.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm coaching people, I like to tell them that, think of your addicted brain as a petulant teenager.
Yep.
And it's trying, it's poking at you. It wants something and it wants something. And when you're consistent at telling them no, they might still be like, hey, but they're not going to continue to ramp it up.
Right.
Now, if you don't take the medication and you drink the alcohol, you're getting the reward. So what do you, if your brain is a teenager, what happens if you cave once?
Yeah.
It's going to be relentless.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you did it, but this was before, but yeah.
Right. And so that's kind of what the addiction ends up doing. And that craving, it's like, because our brain, our bodies, we're wired for reward seeking. Yeah. It's just part of the human condition.
Yep.
It's just how we're wired. Mm-hmm. And so when you can get that reward, sometimes it's that learning process.
Yeah.
No means no is a lot
Yeah.
harder to enforce.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you, so you consistently need for that dopamine and whatever that body signal to
It's an
not be
endorphin
there.
response.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I the word was like there, but wasn't there. So,
Well, there are so many hormones.
True.
Knowing the names of all of them and how they function, I think we would both be doing something entirely different if we had all of that information at our disposal randomly on a Saturday.
Right. Yeah. On some level, we're all just overgrown teenagers on a certain degree. It's like we never quite, and that's not just because I cosplay as a 17-year-old vampire at my age. But sorry. But yeah, thank you so much for talking about this, because I really wanted to kind of dive into the social aspects and everything. So what is, for anybody out there that is suffering from alcohol use disorder, and just so everybody understands, so there's probably going to be folks out there, because there always are, there's probably going to be some folks out there that are like, well, why the fancy term? Why not just call it alcoholism or something like that? And the reason being is that alcoholism does not run the gamut of all of the various ways that it does not encompass everything in this. So alcohol use disorder, it's not like a term that was made to sound nicer. This is something that better encompasses what is going on. So for those people out there that might be kind of curious about that, that's why the term is used. And for anybody that is suffering from alcohol use disorder, who would like to take the first steps, do they go to Option Save Lives, to the website? What's the first place?
tsmoptions.org. We've got our documentary film on our website for free.
Excellent.
It's been around for 11 years now, so we're like, let's go ahead and just have this viewable.
Yep.
And we've got a lot of resources to start, including the resources if you want to go talk to your own doctor, if you'd rather somebody neutral that understands the Sinclair method already. I've got the little form that requests a provider comes directly to me, because I'm a one-of-one operational team.
Yep. I'm very familiar with that concept myself. So yeah.
So it all comes right directly to me.
Okay.
And that comes directly to my email. And so when I send out lists of doctors, you then have my email, and I'm always happy to talk through, answer questions, and things like that, and get somebody on the right path for them. And to broaden what you were saying about alcohol use disorder, what that does is that recognizes that, alcoholism used to be thought as, your stereotypical, drunkard under the bridge drinking out of a brown paper bag in their bottle. Yeah. And what it recognizes is that there's mild, moderate, and severe levels of alcohol use disorder.
Yeah.
And then you've got the gray area drinkers who don't quite meet any of those criteria, but are probably drinking a little problematically. Right. The great thing about the Sinclair method is you don't have to stand up and say, hey, I have an issue with alcohol.
Right.
Honestly, if you're not comfortable with how much alcohol you drink and you can't seem to figure out how to, you're trying to do something about it, but you just can't seem to figure it out.
Yeah.
it's a great thing to look into, whether or not you use the medication. A lot of our resources are great, whether you're actually using the Sinclair method or not, because we talk a lot about how to replace habits and how to disrupt habits that don't serve you, and behavior change, and just all of those other pieces that even if you're not actually on the Sinclair method, if you're trying to reduce how much you're drinking, it can be helpful.
Yep, exactly. So it's not just for the folks that are hitting rock bottom. It's for everybody that would like to reduce and have not found a way yet to do so.
Yeah. I mean, for a lot of people, true rock bottom is death, and you can't, you can't help somebody once they're dead.
No.
And this you must stop drinking black and white. That's what's happening to a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's something that, I understand that people want to feel like the world is easier to understand if you look at it in black and white, but seeing the spectrum for what it is what's actually going to help people.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But very cool. Well, Jenny, thank you so much for coming on and talking about this, and thank you for clarifying, because you have the more specific details, and my my ham-fisted interpretations are decent, but they don't quite fly as well. So thank you. And again, everybody, right here is the QR code. I tested it last night. Sucker works. So unless you're trying to take a picture with your phone on a really tiny screen or something, this bad boy works. Also, thank you. Yep. Also go to otherworldlyfundraising.godaddyscience.com. Go to Option Save Lives. Give us the website one more time.
tsmoptions.org.
tsmoptions.org
for the Sinclair method.
Yep, for the Sinclair method. And so Option Save Lives. And so if you are suffering, check out these options, because the next life that could be saved might be yours. So
thank you so much, Jamie. It's been a pleasure. And thank you to the entire Otherworldly team for spotlighting us this year.
Our pleasure.
Otherworldly Fundraising is a group of friends who decided to use our nerdy talents to help others. Our charity this year is Options Save Lives, which helps individuals fully recover from alcohol use disorder. Thank you for joining us this weekend and for donating to this worthy charity.